Hi, my name is Alex Zemek. Today is January 17th, 2003. On September 11th, 2001, I was working for Heartland Securities, which is located at 50 Broad Street in the financial district area of New York City, about 500 meters from the World Trade Center area, the Twin Towers. I was a trader for the securities firm. It's about 3 buildings down from the New York Stock Exchange. On September 11th, I went in like every other day, taking the subway in from my apartment in Brooklyn. And as I would walk the quarter mile, I would often see the Twin Towers, and sometimes when I would visit my brother, I would even take the metro that would go through that area. And that morning, I had a pre-open like learning session where some of the experienced traders were giving advice on stocks to trade or upcoming news that might be relevant for the day. And so that was around 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd usually get in for that. Someone had come in and said they heard the one of the towers was on fire. They were going to go check it out, and the 10 or so people in the room sort of were almost in disbelief, like, yeah, sure, it's on fire. And probably within about 20 seconds, it sounded like a missile going by, like zoom. And that, we would soon learn, was the second plane to hit the second tower. So we went from the front room, and being a trading floor, news and information is important, so there were TVs all over, and so we could see both on the TV and then also look out the window and see we could see the second tower that was on fire. I think it took a while for things to set in on how big of an event it was, and how much it's changed so many lives and changed our country. Right then, in the moment, I think we didn't realize how important it was at that time. I mean, the stock market hadn't even decided if they were going to close for the day, so people were still almost going about their business. Some were researching companies. In hindsight, it seems, I guess, quite shallow of some of us that were thinking about, what companies might be affected. Would it be insurance companies and things of that sort people were doing? The company had said that people could go home if they did not feel safe. But this is still before the towers collapsed and before the Pentagon got hit. So I don't think people realize the impending damage that would occur. I gave a call to my mother, I think, just after the Pentagon was struck, to let her know that I was okay. It was hard getting an outside line because I think so many people were calling, and I think even the towers had a communication tower on top of them that was not affected yet, but would be affected once they collapsed. So I was on the 15th floor. People decided that it probably would be best if we went down to the first floor of our building. So I was one of the last ones to leave the 15th floor, and got off the elevator at the first floor, and within about 10 to 15 seconds of getting out of the elevator and just looking up on the TV monitor there, the first of the towers collapsed, and I think people were pretty amazed about that. Um, they were a symbol of our strength and our power, and that one could be brought down. After a couple minutes, even though we were just over a quarter mile away, some of the dust particles could came down the shaft of the interior part of the building. People were sort of just hanging out, trying to digest all the news that was occurring that day. Then there was the news of the plane that went down in Pennsylvania. There were rumors going through that there was perhaps a bomb at Stuyvesant High School, or that the New York Stock Exchange had a bomb. So there were a lot of confusion and paranoia. But for the most part, people handled it well. Someone got some drinks from one of the drink machines, and people just sort of waited it out in this, just sitting at desks and standing for a while. We were getting some news information from Mayor Giuliani that just recommending that if you think your building's safe, basically stay there. So even though we were fairly close, that's what we did. It wasn't until about noon that people started to say, "Heck, we should. I think it's safe. We can leave. We can try to head to our homes and find out what else is going on. Contact friends and family more." One of my friends took off like a t-shirt he had and ripped it in half, and we wet it in water and put it over I put my section over my mouth and nose, because just from looking outside when we went up to the entrance of the building, you could still, it was dark outside even though it was quite a sunny day, and it looked like snow with all the ash coming out. When we finally walked out of the building, the World Trade Center would have been on the left, so I looked to the left and the sky was dark. So we walked away from the building down towards the tip of Manhattan, and there was papers flying in the air, some charred paper, and just the ash and the dust and the smell of burning plastic and metal and everything else. There were, on some of the streets, there was no one. There were really no cars moving around. But then as people started to find the route to get out, as everyone was going across the bridges leaving Manhattan, it was almost like a mass exodus. So you have all these people coming together and then going across the bridge. So I walked up what would be the on-ramp of the Brooklyn Bridge and walked across. And none of the metros or transportation would be working. So I continued the other remaining 4 or so miles to my apartment. At that point, I called my mother and let her know that I got home safely. And I think I called my grandparents who lived in New York and let them know it was all right. I think there were some messages on my phone from my aunt, just crying and asking if I was okay. I do a lot of photography, so I was interested in capturing what I could from this day myself. So I put on my rollerblades and took my camera and rollerbladed back towards the Manhattan and the Brooklyn bridges. Once you left the island of Manhattan, they would not let you back on. But there were still for hours people coming across, as there probably were hours before I went across, as I didn't go across till noon. I took some pictures of people and their reactions, what I could capture. People had already set up stations to collect blood donations, and there were U.S. Marshals to just helping to keep the order, as well as much policemen as they could support in just those areas. It immediately seemed like people were coming together and helping, which is, I guess, what happens in times of crisis. It'd be better if it happened, even if it didn't take an event like this to bring people together. There were a few pictures that I did not want to take, people who I just saw very emotionally upset or crying, that I think I don't need a picture of that. I think I will remember that on my own. As far as how that day affected me, it definitely affected my job. Being a trader, the stock market was down after that, and the company faced some problems, so it was something that I knew I didn't want to do for a while, for a career or job anyway, but it sort of was a catalyst in getting me out of that type of industry and into something else. I've had the fortunate opportunity to be a defense fellow here for the past 8 or 9 months at the Pentagon, and I think many people have had a insurgence of wanting to serve their country after September 11th, which is a good thing. I think I've always had that within me. I don't know if it was September 11th that ultimately brought it out, but it was a horrible day. I think it will always be remembered, but I hope that there can be good that can be learned from it, and I hope that in some perhaps unseeable way, the world will be better in the long run, once we all can learn from incidents like this. Thank you.